Ahead of these elections, Lokniti CSDS actually spoke to 703 voters that were selected from across different social strata in the national capital to gauge their mood. And Professor Sanjay Kumar, who's the co-director at Lokniti CSDS, will help us understand the data in just a bit as well as the methodology. But first, let us actually take a look at the vote share of the various parties over the last two MCD elections. Now, here's what's important. The BJP has been winning MCD elections since the year 2007. It won subsequently in 2012 and then again in 2017. In 2012 as well as 2017, its vote share here was approximately in the range of around 36%. That's fairly substantial. Its principal challenger in both these elections was the Congress party, which had a vote share of 21.21% in 2017 and a much higher vote share of approximately 30% in 2012. The Aam Admi Party did in fact contest the elections in 2017, where it managed to gather a vote share of approximately 20%. But this was in fact quite interesting because it came 2 years after it had won the 2015 State Assembly elections. However, this time around, many people anticipate that the Aam Admi Party will be giving a far tougher fight to the BJP and could in fact even possibly emerge as a front runner, by some estimates relegating the Congress party to the third position. Now, we have some more data coming in, which is of course about the popularity of each of these parties among different social strata in the national capital, different caste groups. Now, the Congress party appears to have a certain amount of appeal when it comes to the poor, but this has dwindled quite significantly over a period of time. If you look at the numbers for the Aam Admi Party, it is very significant in terms of its popularity among a lot of the people belonging to the OBC community, as well as Dalits, as well as Muslims. The BJP continues to remain fairly popular among the upper castes and the rich. Here, as you can see, almost 38% popularity among those belonging to the rich category. Among the middle income groups, it's still fairly popular with 38%, but the Aam Admi Party acquiring a fair amount of traction among the middle income groups and the lower income groups, as well as the poor, that it believes might actually make the difference come the 4th of December, when the matter actually goes to the polls. Let me in fact go across to our guests. Charu Pragya, spokesperson of the BJP, also joining us, as well as Professor Sanjay Kumar, who's co-director at Lokniti CSDS and also a psephologist. We're also being joined by Professor D.K. Giri, who's a political analyst. But coming to you, Professor Sanjay Kumar, first and foremost, if you could just give our viewers a perspective of the methodology that you employed for this particular survey, the number of people actually surveyed, and across how many locations in different parts of the national capital.
The sample size is already mentioned. It's a very small sample, but the sample was collected very, very carefully. The sample was selected across 4 localities, which is the poor, lower, middle, and the upper localities. And this sample is collected from almost about 100 or little more than 100 locations spread across the Delhi. So what we have done, since it's a small sample, but we have selected the sample carefully so that it represents the socio-demographics of the Delhi voters. And these 703 voters who have been randomly selected from different places actually reflects the overall social profile of the voters of Delhi.
Right. In fact, we'll come to our guests in just a bit, but let's also take our viewers through the popularity that each of these parties actually enjoys among certain caste groups in the national capital. Now, the Aam Admi Party enjoys a significant amount of traction among Hindu upper caste voters in the MCD elections. Among Hindu OBCs, the number for the AAP is marginally lower, but in fact higher, I beg your pardon. It's actually gone up from 33% to about 46%, but the BJP is actually also banking on the Hindu upper caste vote mobilizing in its favor to a very significant extent. However, what's also very interesting interesting is that when it comes to Hindu OBCs, Hindu Dalits, as well as members of the Muslim community, the Aam Admi Party enjoys a significant amount of popularity. So let me once again take this across to our guests. Professor D.K. Giri is also joining us, as is Ms. Charu Pragya. Ms. Pragya, coming to you now, the BJP has, of course, managed to win the MCD elections in 2007, 2012 and 2017. But this time, not only is AAP the principal challenger, but according to some estimates, it might even ride the popularity wave that it enjoyed in 2020, winning the assembly elections quite comprehensively and take that momentum into 2022. What's your response?
The issues for every single election, now whether they are local, whether they are at the level of Vidhan Sabha or it's the Lok Sabha, are always different. And seeing the way Aam Admi Party has performed in Delhi over the last couple of years especially, and I think I want to specifically talk about the time from COVID onwards, has been terrible. So the management of the COVID crisis, bringing in a new liquor policy which turned out to be a massive scam in the middle of the worst wave of COVID India ever experienced. Moving on to the jail minister of Aam Admi Party, who's still being the jail minister from behind bars of the jail. All these things have added up. RTI replies which tell us the truth of the education system. RTI replies which tell us the truth of the healthcare system. They have burst the bubble that Aam Admi Party had managed to create previously. I think in these coming elections, the people of Delhi will be giving a very strong answer to this corrupt government, to Mr. Kejriwal, and make them realize that if you cannot work for the welfare of people, if you want to spend 20 lakh rupees to promote a scholarship
Ms. Pragya,
of
I must
nearly
interrupt you there because we have
rupees.
some more data coming in which will provide an interesting perspective in the build-up to these elections, and that's basically the gender breakup and who's actually supporting whom and what's the sentiment among men and women in the build-up to these elections, which party are they inclined towards. So among the men, it's still the Aam Admi Party that enjoys a significant amount of popularity, almost 38% as opposed to 34% for the BJP. And this is the standout statistic here, where almost 50% of the women, at least surveyed by CSDS Lokniti in this particular survey, appear to, in fact, be inclined towards casting their vote in favor of the Aam Admi Party, as opposed to 37% for the BJP. So let me once again take this across to our guests. Professor D.K. Giri, coming to you first. Just a caveat, Professor Giri, only 700 odd people have been part of the survey, so it's not very exhaustive in 28 different locations. Do you think that is a fair impression of giving us a perspective as to how the polls might actually turn out on the 4th of December?
Well, I couldn't hear you fully. The line is fluctuating, but I heard Charu Pragya very well. And I wanted to tell Charu that this is an MCD election, not state and assembly elections. She was talking about the performance of the state government here, but we are talking about the performance of MCD, which has been ruled and dominated by BJP for 15 years. So BJP obviously is facing the anti-incumbency factor, and that is showing in the opinion poll by Professor Sanjay Kumar. So let us not confuse the two. We are talking about MCD elections here, not Satyendra Jain. Delivery of the basic services to Dalits, which MCD does. So let us talk about MCD elections, which MCD has been dominated by BJP. What are you offering? What are the change? And what is your performance so far? That's what people would judge. So not on what Satyendra Jain is doing in jail. I think you are hitting above the bar, actually, Charu. So let me remind you, my friend, that
we have an important piece of news coming in. I just need to interrupt our guest for a moment, which is that the country's largest trader organization, the CAIT India, has declared its support. This is very significant for the BJP in the upcoming MCD polls. So a traders body has cast its lot behind the BJP for the upcoming elections. So let me take this across to our guests. Charu Pragya, once again. Ms. Pragya, while this news will be something that is welcomed by the BJP, the very fact that the largest traders body has extended its support for the BJP, among OBCs, among Dalits, as well as among Muslims, and principally among women, the BJP does not seem to enjoy as much popularity as opposed to the AAP.
as you have yourself mentioned, the sample size is small. But I want to stress on two very important points, and very respectfully to Professor Giri. When a leader is found to be lying continuously, when a leader is found to be backing those who are corrupt, it does not serve well for the image of the leader or for his political party, and we'll see an impact of that.
But Ms. Charu Pragya, that is of course an issue that has also been raised in the build-up to the state assembly elections. But do you think that will have a decisive role to play in the upcoming elections when it actually...
Can I quickly make one very quick point? So before we started speaking, you were playing a recording of a statement of Mr. Kejriwal. He is saying, "हमें 1 लाख करोड़ दिए दिल्ली में, 1 लाख करोड़." सर, 1 लाख करोड़ ना आपका बजट भी नहीं है. आपका बजट नहीं है 1 लाख करोड़. So you cannot throw around numbers which make no sense. Please go and verify this. And you are backing the wrong kind of people. You're throwing the wrong kind of numbers. RTI replies from your own government officials prove that your government has been ineffective, has been found to be corrupt. All these things will add up in the MCD elections, and when the vote is cast, it will go a different way.
Right. Will this be a different set of issues that the people of Delhi will actually be voting on? As many as 1.1 crore people are impacted by the performance of the MCDs. Now, what are some of the key takeaways from the survey that has now been conducted by CSDS Lokniti? The Aam Admi Party is in fact going to make significant inroads. As per the survey, it's in the lead, and it's leading 10 days before voting, and has an approximate lead of about 5 to 7% over the BJP. So that's one of the important takeaways coming in from the survey. The Bharatiya Janata Party, it's estimated according to the survey, might actually get about 36% to 39% of the vote, which is pretty much what it actually managed to secure in 2012 and 2017, but the AAP might outdo them. The Congress Party, very importantly, has been relegated now to a distant third, securing about 9 to 12% of the overall vote, down from 21% that it managed to secure in 2017. I'd like to get a word in from Professor Sanjay on this. He was, of course, part of the survey. Professor Kumar, when you actually did the survey for the 2020 assembly elections as well, in Delhi, we did see that a large chunk of the Muslim vote that once actually voted for the Congress, as well as the OBCs and the Dalits, completely almost on an en masse basis ended up casting their lot behind the Aam Admi Party. Do you see that trend repeating itself in 2022 in the MCD elections as well?
Precisely, that is happening. That is why we see Congress vote share going down. This is our estimate almost 10-12 days before the polling. We are making a limited point. The limited point is that Aam Admi Party seems to be leading the race. BJP seems to be number 2. And the lead is to the extent of 5-6%, 6-7%, which should be enough to, keep Aam Admi Party ahead of the BJP. And the other point is that Congress is coming, though we can call it a three-cornered contest, but Congress is a poor number 3. And why Congress is poor number 3? Because all the support base which Congress enjoyed earlier has now more or less shifted towards Aam Admi Party. And you mentioned about one community, which is the Muslim. The vote of Muslim, the support of Muslim, which used to be with Congress earlier, has now moved towards Aam Admi Party. And that is why Aam Admi Party seems to be doing very well and Congress seems to be getting decimated.
Right. One indication that this election might not just be settled on issues of sanitation or the fate of government hospitals as well as schools is the fact that the Congress Party, for example, has also gone on to field Jagdish Taitla, one of the accused in the 1984 riots, as one of its primary campaigners for the MCD elections. He was named as a star campaigner for the party, and he was also accused of leading mobs against the Sikh community in Delhi in 84 in the aftermath of the assassination of Indira Gandhi. So let me take this across to Professor Giri as well. Professor Giri, there are national issues that will continue to have resonance in the MCD polls. Can this election only be decided on the basis of issues like Roti Kapda Makan, or will the Congress Party have to in fact bear the brunt of the Sikh community voting against it for having fielded the likes of Jagdish Taitla?
Sorry, brother, I'm not able to hear you well, but I make the point. I think CSDS is a very credible organization, and they are objective and dispassionate. So I think that it's quite encouraging that Aam Admi Party is leading. And about the trader support, BJP has always been supported by traders, and traders do not constitute the majority. Aam Admi Party is a party of Aam Admi, and Aam Admi Party constitutes majority in our democracy, and they will vote up to power really. Traders might support BJP, but they are a small minority.
Right,
And
many
they have
thanks.
been a traditional support base of BJP.
Right, we'll see how the MCD elections pan out. It's been a very intensive campaign waged by all the three primary major parties in the fray. We thank Professor Giri, Ms. Charu Pragya, as well as Professor Sanjay for joining us to give their perspective on the build-up to the elections and their take on this survey conducted by CSDS Lokniti.